Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode. This is episode 16. I am your host. Uh, I'm your host, Devon Evans, and this is the Band of Barbers podcast. Thank you for joining us. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you're new to this, I appreciate you for tuning in. If you are not new to this and you're a repeat listener, please like, comment, share, subscribe, help us grow our audience, and let's talk more about all things barbering and everything that's going on behind the chair and in the mind of a barber and a barber entrepreneur. This evening, I want to talk a little bit about um, my professional mentors and why having a mentor is important, what to do in the event that you can't find someone to mentor you as you go through and grow in your journeys behind the chair and as an entrepreneur. So I got a short list of uh, people and groups and things of that nature, because sometimes especially in a shop, sometimes your mentors can be a collective. Um, and for me, my closest mentors in the shop were Jason, the crowd favorite always, Uncle Billy, Tyrone, and Veronica. They have been um, some very important people in my life and in my career, in my professional career, as far as growing. Um, Jason being the owner, Uncle Billy being the resident expert, Tyrone being the resident expert, V being a cosmetologist who did not have a problem with teaching, showing, and helping all of us to grow and develop skills, especially when it had to do with shears and even understanding products and how to use them, how to put them in, things of that nature. Like she was really a big help. Jason, for me, as far as being a business owner mentor, really uh, showed me a lot of different things as far as the business. He sat down with me and we had conversations, and we went through two renovations in the shop. We went from a renovation to an expansion, going through the hiring process, going through the process of raising prices, discussing, decor, customer management, um, all of these things. We really had a lot of conversations that really has helped me out in understanding what to look for, how to develop things, how to be patient in situations where, for me, I may not normally be patient, and really just seeing growth. When I first started um, in Jason's shop, there was two full-time barbers and there was two part-time barbers and a cosmetologist. Now we have a full house of six full-time barbers, and we have a full house of six full-time barbers and one full-time stylist. And that didn't happen overnight. We grew it. We curated the team. Some people came and went with us and things like that. But I got to have a firsthand bird's eye view and more of a bird's eye view. I got to be a part of the community and the decisions made within the shop and everything like that. And it was really great. It was a really great experience. My always favorite, Uncle Billy. Uncle Billy, uh, Uncle Billy was hard. Uncle Billy is also a Marine. So we connected based on the fact that we were both Marines. But Uncle Billy is a teacher just like, a drill instructor in the Marine Corps. Or he very observant. Um, he kind of lets you fail forward, and although when I was failing forward, I didn't necessarily appreciate it because I was like, hey, I need help. Uh, I do see the benefits of what he did on the back end. When I was going through it, absolutely not. Did not see it. Some days it was super frustrating. We've had conversations now of like, dude, I was struggling with this and you was watching, or, he would do things that, he was watching, he was looking at something, and he'd throw it into a conversation somewhere in the midst, or he might say something to you like a week later after you stressed out for a week about this one step or one thing that you're missing or anything like that. It was really big. And um you know he really helpful, really helpful for me, kind of in the way that I learned, because it wasn't just handed to me. um he developed skills. He helped develop skills by just kind of being like, he's watching. Now he did talk when we were having professional conversations and discussing skills and things like that. He would put his input. He would talk about it. He would teach, but you had to ask the right questions for him to explain what may be going on. It was very rare that he necessarily volunteered information. And for some, you might say, well, that's kind of messed up. It is what it is. It is what it is. Still think he's a great guy. Still think he's a great barber. Really appreciate, the lessons that he did teach. Um, I'll tell you a quick story about Billy. One day we were in the shop and it was super slow, and it was just me and him. And we sat down and we went through every guard system. We went through Andis, Wall, the Speedo guides, and the detachable blades. And we went through and created a chart of all of the blades matching, showing if I've got this wall guard on, this is what this wall guard and the Andis guard is this Andis guard and the detachable is this. And we went through, and it took us quite a while to put it together, but we put it together. And it was just one of those type of things of, you know, when you ask the right questions, or if it, you ask the right questions, especially if it may be necessarily that question that he has as well. He's going to put his input, and we're going to sit down and we're going to figure it out. And sometimes, guys, you get frustrated with people, and the unfortunate part is that, well, the one thing that you have to learn is you have to be able to learn and ask the right questions, because someone who has the knowledge may see you struggling, but they don't understand necessarily what you're struggling with. And they're not mind readers. They're not mind readers. So approaching someone with a question, when I say the right question, like, you have to also be trying to learn at the same time. Asking, hey, what do I do in this area? maybe a better question of then I can't understand how to do this haircut. They may be a more minute and more detailed person, right? You um, it's just a thing. So uh, big ups to Uncle Billy. Appreciate you being hard on me. Still not gonna let it. Still not gonna let you live down some of that stuff, but I get it. I appreciate it, and it's cool. Thanks. Uh, I don't know if I said thank you to Jason as well, but I appreciate Jason for letting me be a part of all of this stuff that's going on. And we talked about Veronica. I appreciate her too for um, you know looking out for me. When I was going through struggling to learn how to use scissors, the original shop that we were in, she was diagonal across from me. And so it was nothing for me to look up, and especially if I'm dealing with scissors, and she'd be like, "Hey, you need help?" And I'm like, "Yes." Or, "V, you got a minute? Can you come help me?" And she'd come over and help, and she never never second guessed, and never made me feel bad, you know, anything like that. She always came over, helped, and showed her process, and taught very well. Um, I credit a lot of my shear, scissor, whatever you want to call it. I credit a lot of those skills to her, and the foundational skills that she showed and taught me, still live to this day. Um, and last but not least, one of the last members of the last full time member of the original shop, when we did our first renovation, we went from 3 to 4 stations, and when we went to 4 stations, we got a bang up, an excellent barber in by the name of Tyrone, and Tyrone came in, and I tried to um, be the business savvy guy, or the you know try to give him the tricks of the trade. Like, yo, if you want to survive around here, you got to learn how to do this, you got to learn how to do that, this, that, and the third. And Tyrone didn't, be like, Tyrone wasn't like, oh, okay, whatever, or yeah, I don't need none of that. He wasn't cocky in any way, shape, or form. He came in, heard what I said, and quickly I realized that Tyrone was an extreme tactician. He was an extremely skillful barber. And you know, I'll be honest, at the time that he came, my skills weren't even close. And cutting next to him for almost 2 years, I think it was. I cut next to him every day for 2 years. And I watched clients leave my chair and go to his chair. I watched clients, some that never came back to me, that ended up in his chair, and uh, there was no hate, no love lost. As long as the client stayed in the shop, I felt like we were still winning. Like, it's a team where, to me, we're still winning. So, um, but I watched, and Tyrone, uh, really helped me develop some high end skills. And I think for the entire shop as a whole, he helped us really develop much better skills. Tyrone wasn't necessarily one to always teach. Um, but he was one. He wasn't. He's not as hard as Uncle Billy. Tyrone used to say something, and he. I won't tell that story, but um, Tyrone used to say that sometimes you're not ready for the information or the tool, because we would talk about, that was during a phase when I was buying a lot of stuff, thinking that the tool was going to give a better haircut instead of sitting down and learning how to use the tool. And I learned, I asked questions, and he taught. He taught. Tyrone taught me how to detail a cut. Um, I'll never forget. It was one of those days where it was just it was kind of slow. It was just me and Tyrone, and Tyrone's like, "Hey, can you taper me up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. No problem. I'll do it." And so I asked him, about some of the things that he was doing, and how he gets his cut so clean, and what is it. And he explained to me the importance of detailing. And we sat down, and I had a camera. I didn't record it, unfortunately. I wish I had. But I had a dual camera, so I had a camera monitor system that I had brought in the shop because I was working on uh, some other stuff. I was working on some marketing and videos and all that kind of stuff. But I had it in there, and I said, "Well, you know what? This is what I'll do." So I set the camera up so it could see what I was doing on a taper on the back of his neck, and he held the monitor, and he coached me through the process of how to fade, because I said, "Well, look, I want to do this the way that you do it, and not to steal his system, but I mean, honestly, you know, a lot of barbers won't give away or won't teach the things that they have learned, right? They like to hoard it and hold it to themselves, because I mean, it is a career where you can make a ton of money. And so I think that they believe that if they give it away, then somebody else is going to do it. And it just, I don't know. I don't know the real feeling behind it, but that was a lot of the older guys. And I still think it's kind of relevant today with the non-social media guys. They get into this competition as if you're going to cut every single head in town. It's not going to happen. Every single head in your city, unless you're maybe a 2,000 and less population area, you're not going to cut. You have no chance of cutting every male who gets a haircut in your zip code. And I live in a pretty small town relative to bigger metropolitan areas, but you're going, you just don't have a chance. So, you know, uh, Tyrone explained a lot to me about mindset, and we've had a lot of good conversations outside of barbering, but he explained a lot to me about um, mindset as far as teaching someone else. One of his and I may be paraphrasing, but this is kind of how I took it. That I felt like he kind of said to me, if I teach you today what took me 10 years to learn, it doesn't mean that you're going to get it right away. You may have a breakthrough, you may have an understanding, but you still have to develop the skill. And I don't think that it was like, I don't even feel like it was a nice way of him being like you're still not going to be where I'm at. I just feel like it was a real statement of, even if I show you this, even if you figure it out, like you still got to get the reps doing and using this system to figure out how it's going to work. And you know, generally every barber has his own style as far as, you know, the way he cuts hair, the system that he uses to cut hair, all of they have their own style, but there's a lot of similarities. Whew, sorry guys, I apologize. You know, again, I'm gonna start trying to do this earlier, but a lot of times it ends up being later in the night, trying to keep with my daily goal after I've done all the other things that I need to do for the day. Um, so, but again, you know, I really appreciate uh, Tyrone talking to me about, you know, barbering, the technical skills. We've talked about life as far as being men, you know, living in America. Like, we've talked about a lot of different things, and you know, he's another great mentor to me in this industry. Um, you know, great guy, absolutely great guy, hardworking guy. Um, and everything like that, and that crew right there, that core nucleus, Jason, Uncle Billy, the yard man Tyrone, and Veronica really are a huge part of why and what brought me in the industry, kept me in the industry, and has been, you know, vital in parts of my success. You know, they've been vital in the success. They gave me skills, and much like a parent and a child, you want your children to go further. And not saying that I'm their children, but you know, I apprenticed under them. I worked under them. And now I'm taking what they've done, which they've been in the game longer than me, and I'm moving it along faster. And it wouldn't be possible had they not okayed and given me an opportunity to come in and apprentice and learn. And they kept it a learning environment. They didn't, we laughed and chuckled when I messed up and things like that, but they didn't necessarily make me feel like this wasn't a place for me. They invited me into their family, and I will always be grateful for that. Uh, always, always be grateful for that. So that's my crew. That's my Who's Next crew. That's my Who's Next family. Always be a Who's Next guy. You know, even though we've got the band of barbers right now, like I'm still I'm still Who's Next. It's like when Allen Iverson changed high schools. You know, I still got the jersey on underneath, and they have been great. They still support. They still do all those things. They came out to my ribbon cutting ceremony, which was great. We got a couple pictures, which was wonderful. Great people. And real quick before we end tonight's episode, talk about a couple other little pieces to me that are important. So when we talk about mentors, now those were my in-person physical mentors, but I needed other information that all of it I could not get from them. And it wasn't I wasn't in a place or didn't have a network of people that I could reach for. And so what I had to do was, instead of saying, I can't find anybody, I can't do this, I can't do that, so on and so forth, I went to books, I went to YouTube, I went to podcasts. I did all of these. I did all of these things. And so I'm going to real quick give you guys kind of my understanding of real quick blurb about each one of them. I'm gonna give you guys my list of people that that have been informative, or that have been important mentors to me, even though they don't even know my name. To me, number one being Myron Golden. Myron Golden, great, uh, great business coach. He talks about business through the eyes of, he talks about business with biblically based principles. And I don't know if I've ever actually talked about this, but I grew up in the church, so it helps because some of the things that I knew to be true as far as in the church realm, I never really connected to business. And he bridges that gap, and he really helps you to understand and see things in a much different light, with stories that, if you grew up in the church, you heard over and over and over again, and with a very different perspective. Very important. So again, that's Myron Golden. Next on my list, or I'm going to kind of give them together. Dan Kennedy and Russell Brunson. Dan Kennedy's a new guy for me. Russell Brunson's older. I've kind of followed Russell Brunson since he started ClickFunnels and things like that. So I've kind of been in his area and kind of aware of him for a while. Read his books, listened to his podcast, still reading his books. Very good. These guys, Russell Brunson and Dan Kennedy, are in direct marketing. So, they are, kind of in your face. They use a lot of direct mail, those sorts of things. Direct mail or email marketing, or, different medias, but they're marketing guys. They're big marketing guys. Russell Brunson is the guru at the moment. He's the face, I believe, of, especially online marketing and things of that nature. Dan Kennedy was Russell Brunson's mentor. He's older, came into the game way back in, I think, sometime in the 70s. He's been in it. He's been around forever. He's seen plenty of trends. He's gone up and down. He's very interesting to listen to. Now, he's not one to listen to, in my opinion, if you have a closed off mind, if you haven't prepped yourself, because he's going to talk about some things that are going to could make you upset if you're not ready to hear the reality of situations. Ready to hear how marketers think, what marketers do, so on and so forth. If you're not ready to hear that, then he's not one for you. But if you are, if you're looking for ideas about marketing, what to do in marketing, he's a really, really, really in-depth, in detail guy that gives a lot of different examples from his experience in the industry. Dan Kennedy, Russell Brunson, great guys. They have great books, podcasts, YouTube videos, trainings, everything. Great guys, great group of guys. Marketing is something that you need in your business. And I'm telling you this, I'm going to say it again. Marketing is something that you need in your business. Marketing is something that you need in your business. And you need to figure out how to do it, scale it, and understand how this function plays into you gaining customers. Gaining likes from a million other barbers on Instagram does not put money in your pocket, does not give you a client, does not do those types of things. So you need to understand how to market to your audience, your clientele. Not don't be out here just trying to impress barbers. Not doesn't work well, not going to work well, and it defeats the whole purpose of why you got into business. I didn't get into business to impress somebody else who's already in the business. That's crazy. It doesn't make sense. So, you know, either way. Final three guys I'm gonna give you to you real quick. These guys are um these guys are mindset guys. All of these guys were pre Dan Kennedy, pre Russell Brunson, pre Myron Golden. They are on the Mount Rushmore of uh, self help, personal development, and things like that. And I understand personal development is super important. So these are my guys. So number one, Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, probably the number one personal development book in the world. It's definitely one of the top selling books. It sells like crazy. Napoleon Hill's been going for a long time. Most millionaires, billionaires on their reading list, it is Think and Grow Rich. So Napoleon Hill is number one. Haven't heard of the book, look it up. Look for the audio book. Look for the short version. I don't care what you look for. That's something that you got to read. Number two, Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale, great. Love Earl Nightingale. Older guy, may not be your cup of tea, but you can't deny what he says and what he is talking about. Right? He is talking about a lot of good things that help develop and build your mindset to being and becoming successful. Along those lines, we also have Jim Rohn, another guy, big influence in the personal development market. Definitely got his head on the personal development Mount Rushmore. Definitely there. Personal development guy, growth, all of those things. Don't get me wrong, says a lot of things, the same things that Earl Nightingale, Napoleon Hill, says a lot of same things that the other guys say, has a different presentation. Really enjoying. I enjoy all three. There's other people. Let me not forget one more. Another very, very important personal development and spiritual growth. He kind of meshes in the two. Is Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas is another good person. E.T. the hip hop preacher, but some of you may know him as. He's great too. Again, they listen. Personal development is important. You want to grow. You want to do better. You want to do all of these different things. You can't just sit and beg for an opportunity. You've got to go out and do some different things. You wanted different results, do different things. Right? And I will say, this is like I said, this is the importance. These are important things. Like these guys that I just listed. So that's Myron Goldman, Dan Kennedy, Russell Brunson, Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, Jim Rohn, and Eric Thomas. They were my professional mentors in business, business thought, personal development, growing. While they may have been in marketing or whatever, they all had a part in my personal development, and it was very, very important for them. And I've got one final piece for you. Another professional mentor was actually not just a single person. It has been the Grow Waynesboro program. That program got some people, brought in people, different, the classes that I went through and the training that I went through as far as the grant, it brought people in, and it put people in front of me that I was able to ask questions about things that I didn't feel comfortable just calling someone on the phone and asking them. They were in an environment where I felt like it was educational, so I was comfortable with asking them, and it was a big help. And after winning, being one of the recipients of the grant, they are still very helpful, still putting me networking and having me in an environment that most people don't get in, and it's just great. So the professional mentor aspect of it for me is not just one person, because one person can't be all things to you. That's my belief. One person can't be all things to you. And when you talk to people who are successful, they have different people for different things. And that's okay. It's really okay. So just relax, calm down, get you a mentor or two. Get you one that you need to get you one, whether you can get them in person or um, whether you can get them in person or you have to get them on YouTube or a podcast or something. Like, get you a mentor, one, to really work on your personal development. I believe that before you step onto any other things, you need to develop personally. You need to develop personally. I'm not sure who it was, but one of, I'll say my podcast, social media, YouTube mentors, one of them, I'm not sure whether it was Earl Nightingale or Jim Rohn, they said that everything that you are capable of doing, everything that you are capable of doing, you are already doing. In order to do anything better than that, you have to become better. You have to change. You have to grow. You have to do different things. So if you're looking at a situation and you're upset and you're angry about it, if you don't spend any time trying to grow in that situation, you're not going to grow. And that's just the reality of it. You keep doing the same thing and you're like, why am I not changing? Well, you're not making any effort to grow. You have to make an effort to grow. And you need to be conscious of that and make sure that you are doing that, right? You need, if you're in a shop, if you're in a school, for the time being, you have a technical barbering business mentor in that space, if they're willing to share it with you, which I feel like most of them would be in this day and age, especially in a school environment. In a school environment, generally, you're not a threat to a shop. Uh, so I don't necessarily say, but like you have that environment. You need to get personal development, and you need to get personal development, and you need to get business. Go to your local city. If this is what you really want to do, you really want to grow and develop, there's always programs out there for you. You just have to go and find them. You can't sit around and say, "Oh, I wish somebody would show me this or show me." Listen, it's there. Your city may have economic development. Go down to City Hall, ask about grants. Go do something. Somebody can point you in the right place. There is money, there is opportunities, there's trainings, there's education everywhere. You have to be willing to go and show up. And you can't make excuses about why you're not there. We all have the same 24 hours in the day. Some of us used our 24 hours and became, millionaires and billionaires, while others used their 24 hours and squandered it away. And now they're working for the millionaires and billionaires. They're working for other people because they never took the time to develop who they were or to understand, study, grow, and build a business. And I'm going to close with this, and I'm going to say this. Understand that you may not see the fruits of the labor of the business that you build. Build it anyways. Build it anyways. Right? You're here to service your customers. And if you got build the business anyways. Sorry. Just build the business anyways. It may long live past you. It should, if you do it right. It may not be easy, but it's your turn. And if you've got children, family, whatever it may be, set them up in the right place. Don't let them start at ground zero just because you started at ground zero. Leave them with an opportunity to go and take either what you've done and sell it and go do what they want to do, or leave them the opportunity they can go grow, build on what you've already done and expand it and make it better. Okay? Stop living the you as a barber are making money daily. Stop living day to day and paycheck to paycheck. Start making plans for your life. If you can't plan out a week, at least plan out a day. Plan out a day in advance. Before you go to bed, make a list of what you need to do the next day. Plan it out. Get it ready. You want success. Success comes with discipline, and discipline requires planning. It's just it. Success comes with discipline, and discipline requires planning. And if you are currently undisciplined, you're going to need to do some personal development in an effort to grow and learn how to discipline yourself. It is what it is. Now, if you're not comfortable with that, then you have to be comfortable with whatever results that you receive through your lack or non ability to adjust. It is what it is. And these statements may sting, they may hurt, they may whatever. It's okay. You haven't gone on a personal development journey yet. You haven't looked in the mirror and held yourself accountable for all the actions and everything like that you have done, said, told, did. You haven't held yourself accountable. Still blaming other people for what you don't know. Well, you are you, and you are responsible for whatever goes on in your arena. Take accountability, develop personally, learn how to grow, learn how to study, learn how to do those things. You know, you're willing to learn how to cut hair, but you're not willing to learn how to be a more emotionally intelligent person. You're gonna deal with a whole lot of stuff behind that chair, and if you're not built for it and you're not ready for it, it's gonna eat you alive. It's gonna eat you alive. It's gonna tear you up. It's gonna mess your money up. If you're not ready and prepared for what goes on behind the chair, you either won't stay in business for long, you'll get out because of these. You have to prepare for it. You're a therapist behind that chair. You're a minister behind that chair. You are a mentor behind that chair. The what happens to you, and you know, the act of barbering, and I think you may have heard me say this before, but the act of barbering is what gets them in the door. What keeps them in the door is the personality, the energy, uh, the things that go on within the shop, specifically in your chair. So, get a mentor, professional, uh, in person. If you can get one, get an in-person mentor. Get you some social media mentors and things like that. Hey, and if you're struggling and you're really having a struggle with personal development, also get you a therapist. I strongly believe in therapy. Just saying. If you're going to be a therapist, you need a therapist. That's just what it is. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll take that back. If you're going to be a hairist, or a therapist, that may be how it's said. I don't know. Whatever short, funny term that they came up with. If you're going to be that, you need an outlet too. And your outlet can't be, you know, all negative things for you. You need an outlet too. You need somebody to talk to too. So, thank you guys for tuning in. This is, I think, one of my longest solo podcasts, but I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Devon Evans. This is the Band of Barbers podcast. Please take care of yourselves. Get yourselves a mentor. Get yourselves any help and everything that you may need. It may be a journey. It may be rough, but it'll be worth it. Stick through it. Stick to it. Find you some accountability partners. Trust the process. Grow. Let's go. Thank you again. Like, comment, share, subscribe. This is the Band of Barbers podcast. I'm Devon, and we're out of here.